Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing another video in my Wine Basics series. And I wanted to discuss some wine terms that I hear a lot, that I use a lot, that I think a lot of people don't really understand. And these are the terms primary, secondary, and tertiary wine flavors and aromas. So before I start with this video and this topic, just give a plug to my future videos. This is the 2010 Chateau Carwan from the Margaux region, third growth. I hope to be drinking this in the future. Why I did this video is I actually mentioned this in another video, and one of my viewers and subscribers called me out on it and said, listen, I think respectfully, they were really nice about it. You're using the wrong terminology here, Trophy. And I find actually a lot of times that myself throw around these terms when there's we're lacking of specifics, and it's kind of one of these wine terms that I think people in the wine industry or wine geeks or whatever use, but really doesn't mean a lot. And so I thought I'd just break it down to give the actual definition of these things and then to kind of discuss it a little bit. I'll admit that I have used these terms incorrectly in probably many of my videos. So let's talk about these terms: primary, secondary, and tertiary wine aromas and flavors. So primary flavors and aroma are primarily derived from the grape varietal itself. So that would generally mean fruit and floral flavors. So your basic fruits like, in red wines, black plums, black cherries, whatever type of fruits that you have in white wines like lemon and orange, apricot, things like that. Those are pretty simple. Floral aromas that come from the grape, some things that are distinctive with the grape. Some grape varietals will have distinctive, like Shiraz will be jammy fruit, that type of thing. Secondary aromas are derived from the wine making process. And so generally speaking, those would be things like, and the easiest example is oak influences on wines. That's not because of the grape, it's because of the winemaking processes. So it would be adding like yeastiness, brioche, bread type aromas and flavors. So again, those are the basic definitions. And then tertiary aromas are things that develop with age. So like leather, truffle, cigar box, cedar, and mushrooms, things like that. The difficulty lies in that not everything can be categorized in these three distinct terms. And I'll give an example. There are certain wines that initially, even when they're young, taste chocolatey. And so chocolate is generally speaking a tertiary taste and aroma. But it can be, there are certain wines that are barnyardy, that taste minerally, or for like the loam or forest loam early on, and that could be because of the grape varietal. So what I'm trying to say is that in and itself, primary, secondary, and tertiary by itself is not really a descriptor, because it could be different for different grape varietals. I think these terms are very useful for wine educators or when you're talking to winemakers, because that has a different type of connotation, because they are saying, oh, this wine has developed a certain tertiary aroma, that they would know that that is not typical of that grape varietal. But for most consumers, I would say these terms are just wineese. These are just not really significant terms, and you're just better off, and I'm going to try and do this in the future, just describing the tastes and the aromas. Because again, that's, to me, just saying it has tertiary aromas doesn't really mean a lot, because it doesn't describe that aroma, it describes the process of how that aroma or taste developed. It's because of age. But again, it doesn't tell me the actual descriptor. It's not like if I say, oh, this wine has secondary aromas, that you will actually be able to tell exactly what it is. Like, it's better just to say it has oak, it tastes like vanilla, it tastes like or smells like brioche. The point of this video is to kind of dumb down these terms and to make people feel a little bit more comfortable when people say primary, secondary, tertiary. That really doesn't tell you the exact descriptors. It's more what the process of how you got that taste or aroma. And it really doesn't, in my mind, add to the descriptor anyways. When I say to someone, oh, listen, this has got secondary aromas. Well, what are they? You might as well just tell people what they are. And I think sometimes people just throw out those terms just to look like they're really into wines, but it really doesn't mean anything. So I guess that's the other point. If you really want to look like you know something about wine and you don't really, say, wow, this has got great secondary aromas, great tertiary. That's kind of terms that people probably don't understand very well anyways. And likewise, I want to point out that certain wines can have primary and secondary flavors or aromas at the same time. And likewise, wines may not have tertiary aromas. So even though a wine is mushroomy or smells like truffle, that's not a tertiary aroma if it's a young wine, because the definition of a tertiary aroma is aromas and tastes that are developed through aging. So again, it's possible that most wines actually will not develop tertiary aromas because most wines are not built for aging. The majority of wines that are sold and marketed in today's world are meant for early consumption. And I'm just fortunate in this channel, it might be a little bit skewed because I review all these trophy wines. But in general, most wines, I would say maybe like up to 80% of the wines of the world that are produced are really meant for early consumption and will never develop tertiary aromas. And even if they were, would not be pleasant. So again, let's not get too hinged on these terms. The point of this video is kind of just to debunk these words, demystify these words, and just to kind of say, if you don't understand these terms, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to drink wine or you don't know anything about wine. It's just a wine geeky term, and I'm gonna actually try and stay away from that in the future. I don't think it really adds, and when I do say something's got a primary or secondary aroma, I will explain it, or particularly if I say it's a tertiary aroma, I have to kind of make sure I explain, when this wine or grape varietal was useful, it would taste it like this. And because it's aged, it's now changed to this. Not just throw out the term mushroom, because mushroom could be a primary aroma as well as a tertiary aroma. Wines can have all three, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Some wines can only have primary and secondary. Most wines will have primary and secondary right away. And some wines may never develop tertiary aromas and flavors. Hope this has been useful more than it's been confusing. And until next time, happy drinking.